Hi everyone, it's Weister here. Today we are talking about gaming and how it's related to sleep, or more like how it's affecting sleep, and how also sleep affects gaming to some extent. Of course, everyone knows that sleep is very important. I guess there is no question about it. But I do want to mention some things before I get into details. So, first of all, a disclaimer is that I'm no professional, I'm no expert. I have no education on this topic. It's based on the things I have experienced myself and also what I have observed, what I have heard, what I have read, and so on. So basically, the knowledge and experience I have. And another thing I do want to mention before some details and examples is that sleep is totally different for each individual in sense that first of all, the time you need to sleep. So for example, some people feel completely great when they get 7 hours of sleep. Some feel great when they get 9 hours of sleep. It can be totally different for each individual. And another thing is, it is also different when do people go to sleep. So some feel better when they go to sleep a bit later and wake up also maybe a bit later. So night owls, and then there are, I guess, early birds who prefer to go to sleep earlier and wake up earlier. So again, it's totally different, depends on each individual. And personally, I'm someone who doesn't need too much sleep. Also, I'm someone who is more like a night owl, so I prefer to go to sleep later and wake up a bit later, but still not too late. I'm not someone who can sleep until noon, for example, like some people can. So yeah, it's definitely something to keep in mind that we are not all the same. But something related to it is true though that it is better to sleep during nighttime when it's actually dark outside. Because when you go to sleep, for example, when it's already light outside, then you may struggle to fall asleep. Plus, your sleep may not be deep enough. Plus, you may not sleep long enough, and so on. So, for sure, there are many reasons why it is better to still go to sleep when it's dark enough outside. Anyway, to some examples that come to my mind related to sleep and something that I have experienced myself. So, first thing I want to mention is, for example, it's too late, already before bedtime, basically, and you get some new game installed, then you may feel a bit too excited to play it, and yeah, it could be maybe a bit difficult to stop yourself, or you just may not notice it because you are too into it, and all of a sudden it's like 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. Yeah, it could be a problem, and you go to sleep too late. It's probably no good. It might be better to install your games a bit earlier or leave it to the next day. And another thing actually related to it is also, I guess, somewhat related to excitement. For example, I'm playing Black Desert Online. People who know, they know. Who don't, I guess it would be too long to explain it. But basically, you can upgrade your gear or do many other things that's heavily related to RNG. So there is a very high chance to maybe fail and very low chance to succeed. And when people succeed, the enhancement or anything that has this kind of crazy RNG system in it, then when they succeed, they feel super excited. At least I have heard some people describing their excitement as if it's like a crazy strong feeling. Like sometimes they are even shaking because they are so excited. Personally, I don't feel like this. I guess because I tend to lose a lot more, so when I win, then it doesn't feel that great because I know it's after so many losses, so I guess it makes it even. But of course, if I would maybe get many successes in a row, I guess I could feel a bit better, but still, it's not something that makes me so excited. But people who do get very excited from things like this, I guess it could be a bit better to postpone such things, like do it on the next day, or just do it way earlier. Because again, if you're doing it before bedtime, yeah, that excitement may not help you with your sleep. You may struggle to fall asleep and so on. Something that's closely related to it is also, for example, doing something that not maybe makes you necessarily excited, can also make you excited, but just something fast paced, for example, PvP, player versus player. So we are fighting with other players. Definitely, I have experienced it myself. Is that when I'm doing PvP before bedtime, I do feel dopamine and adrenaline rush in my body. It's kind of like a tingling feeling. It's a bit difficult to describe, but for sure I do feel something is going on in my body, and definitely my heart rate might be a bit higher, and my brain is probably working more actively or is more alive, so it probably makes it a bit difficult to fall asleep again because it takes time to cool yourself down and so on. And yeah, then you go to bed, and you struggle to fall asleep and you're wrestling with yourself for an hour or two, maybe. It's probably not good, at least from my experience. It definitely didn't do any good to me. And also something closely related to it is making yourself anxious. So, for example, I recently had a situation, again in Black Desert Online. My guild had some small drama or whatever going on between people who are higher ranked, and the guild leader didn't like it and decided to punish everyone for it, basically. But I felt like the punishment was a bit too much, and I tried to talk to the leader, but basically it took way longer than expected, and it was already nighttime, time to go to bed. I understood that if I'm going to continue this topic, then I can maybe go to sleep when it's already morning. So I thought it's better to just say goodnight and talk about it the next day, which I did. But what happened is that at the same time, it was an unresolved issue. And I had no idea how it's going to end the next day. But I knew there are going to be some kind of consequences, most likely. So my brain couldn't stop thinking about it, even though I thought, well, it's not this much important, it's just a game. But for some reason, my brain couldn't completely calm down, and yeah, I struggled to fall asleep. It was definitely not a good feeling. So something I probably learned from it is that if I understand it's already late enough and such situations arise again in the future, then I definitely need to say immediately that, okay, if it's something that's maybe going to take a long time, let's talk about it tomorrow. Then, I can have enough time to calm down before bed, to do my thinking and go to bed when I'm already done thinking, I guess. And I think it's something that can help me if that situation comes up again next time. So maybe something to think about. Also, this is related to, I guess, all previously mentioned things, is that it's definitely better to get things done before bedtime, like a few hours before maybe, so that when you're going to bed, things are basically finished, that you don't leave anything unsolved or whatever, and take some thoughts to bed with you, so that you can go to bed already relaxed and yeah, you are not too excited, you are not too anxious, you are not like anticipating something too much so that you can't fall asleep or whatever. And what maybe makes it easier is to even play an offline game, because I feel like this kind of stronger feelings arise more when playing online games. Offline games usually are a bit more calmer, especially because you can do just things at your own pace and yeah, there are no other people to, I guess, affect you. But something related to offline games, there is something that can affect your sleep for sure. For example, horror games. So if you are playing horror games before bedtime, especially if you are home alone, maybe, then you are going to sleep, you are alone, it's dark. Yeah, maybe you are a bit scared. Could be. This is something I have not experienced. I don't usually play horror games, but I can totally imagine such thing can affect your sleep. And the last thing I want to mention is using night light instead of blue light. So typically, our devices, our screens have blue light by default. But what I'm doing personally is I'm always switching to night light, and I'm using it 24/7. I definitely noticed it is better for my eyes. My eyes are more relaxed and probably easier to fall asleep too. But I do understand not everyone likes it. But first of all, you can usually adjust the strength of it. But also, you can just put it on a timer so that maybe before sleep it's a bit orange and during other times it's not. But yeah, for me at least, I'm using it 24/7 and I do feel better. Because again, I'm no expert on this topic, but what blue light does, to my knowledge, is that it's basically tricking your brain into thinking that it is daytime. And of course, if your brain thinks that it's daytime when you're supposed to go to sleep, it makes sense why it's not good, right? So these are all the things that I have experienced that come to my mind that maybe affect falling asleep or the quality of sleep or whatever. But also there is the outcome, right? So if you don't get enough sleep, maybe, or if it's not quality sleep or whatever, then usually you may not feel so great the next day. Not only it can affect everything in your life, but of course it can again affect gaming too. Because if you get more irritated or frustrated, or you have less energy for things, just your enjoyment levels are down and so on, then how you see the game, how you experience the game, it could be a bit worse than compared to if you were well rested. So I think there is definitely this side to it. But of course, not talking only about gaming, but just one of the most important reasons I think is that how it affects your health overall if you don't sleep enough. So something that I have noticed is that many people don't take it seriously because they are still young. They don't maybe think long term. They are just thinking how it is now, and they think, well, okay, if I don't sleep well now, then it will be fine. But at least as much as I know, sleep is something that, yes, it may not affect your life so much when you're young, your body can take a lot more, but the consequences may not show now when you are young. The consequences may start showing, may start coming up when you're older, like 40 plus, 50 plus, or something like this. So it is definitely something people should be aware of is that even if you don't feel that there are any serious consequences now, those serious consequences can come up in the future. And it's because you had lack of sleep when you were young. So, of course, if you are just sometimes not getting enough sleep, I guess it's totally fine. But if it happens all the time, constantly, too often, or whatever, then it's probably no good anymore. Just as final thing, what I want to say is that I think it's not good to sacrifice your health for gaming. This is something to keep in mind. Of course, I'm no one to tell anyone what to do or what not to do, but because I do want the best for everyone, and I do think that as long as we are alive, it's better to be healthy. Then it's better to be a bit careful how we are treating ourselves. But that's it for today. Take care of yourselves and see you next time. Bye.